I'm Ed Cohen in San Diego. It's December 4, 2025. Our very special guest, Ron Cooper, will be joining us in a few minutes for an interesting discussion, a post Thanksgiving view on getting along with people. Sure, family members and others. It's going to be a very interesting conversation. Ron Cooper is a client, public relations, media client for a long time. And I'm really honored to have that opportunity to talk about media presence using our website tools and our YouTube channel. Very active. And by the way, it's free subscription. So you should go to the YouTube. I'll announce that address later. Just sign up. Since founding Global TV talk shows, as a result of COVID crashing into my 30-year successful live meetings and events business, that was on or about March 1, 2020. I've been very fortunate to be able to develop and produce, finance, distribute, and market more than 1,100 productions, and we have a lot more coming. Really fascinating. I'll talk about that later. Let me read you some information about Ron Cooper. He's a very special guy. You know, I have the wrong glasses. Live TV. Ron Cooper is an inspirational speaker, a leadership trainer, founder, and CEO at The Cooper Culture. Check it out, thecooperculture.com. He's a former F-4 pilot going back into Vietnam days. He had over 300 missions successfully. He's a squadron leader, a trainer. This is really Top Gun kind of stuff. And this is the real thing. There are genuine article, as they say. Commander specializing in executive leadership, training, team building, and workplace harmony. You're going to see what I mean pretty quickly this morning. Ron has strong opinions, as you might guess, but he's also really a fair person, very fair, honest, and very helpful. He helps executives and people who are not executives think clearly about responsibility and helping people develop themselves. Not to tell them what to do, but to create an atmosphere of safety. We can call it psych safe. Might be better to say exciting atmosphere, but tranquil, because it's safe to say, hey, I'm having trouble doing something, give me a hand here. Or why is that necessary? As opposed to that. Ron Cooper is a gem. So go to the YouTube channel when you get a chance and look at the several shows that we've already produced and now are freely available worldwide, 24/7. No toll gate. We want you to look at the stuff and learn from it. Our programs are not scripted by design because I want honesty, authenticity to shine and be really obvious to the audience, the viewer, the consumer. If this show was scripted, it would be awkward. So we have keywords, key phrases, but not scripted sentences or paragraphs. There are guidelines, of course. It's part of our best practice media prep, not just for you, but for me. Because why? Because in the end, it's you. Your experience using this product, this show is a product. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Ron Cooper. And I'm sure it'll be an interesting conversation. Again, it's not scripted, but well planned. Thank you. I got to push this button. Hi, Ken.
Morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good. Hey, good morning, Ken. Good to be back with you.
Nice to see you.
Happy post-Thanksgiving. We're just talking here as a warm-up, which is now red hot, not warm-up anymore. I'm getting bombarded here by messages. Gosh, what is going on? Excuse me. And we're live. And welcome, Ron Cooper from Maryland, and Dr. Ken Lloyd in LA. You're in LA today?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. And this is a picture I was just describing to Ron Cooper that I took this past August here in Mission Bay, San Diego. And the beautiful area. We walk around there frequently, probably once a week. And there's a lunch place on the other side. Can't see it from here. And those are real live thunderheads building up in the East County. And later that day, as I was just describing to Ron, downpour. And so he was sharing his time at South Florida. And every day in the afternoon at 4 p.m., the same thing happened. Ron and I were just beginning to talk about the topic today in a post-Thanksgiving mode, if you will. But the tragedy and the horror of the recent shooting in D.C. by an Afghan in this country, I don't know, probably not legally, but I'm not sure. There's different reporting on that. And he killed two kids who were doing their guard duty, walking around the streets. It's so bad. It's terrible. Ron?
Yes, and Ed, I would like to make an appeal to your listening audience that can we pledge with each other, and I would like to have a dialogue with people. And my email address is Ron, R-O-N, at the Cooper Culture at TheCooperCulture.com. And it's not required to have a continuous dialogue, but can we just pledge with each other that we will do whatever we feel we can do to help people from reaching a state of what I call retribution? I don't know the details. It's still under investigation. The Afghan who traveled across the United States from Washington State to Washington, D.C., with what appears to be the motive of creating some type of chaos with the National Guardsmen, the people who were guarding Washington, D.C. I clearly understand, and Ed, we've said it here numerous times, I'm not here to make a political statement, but the fact is National Guard people are stationed in Washington, D.C. for security reasons, and it appears this person had a very clear intent of doing what he did. I'm not trying to suppose he specifically targeted the man and woman guardsmen, but they appeared to have been there within line of sight, and I have reason to believe they were wearing each a bulletproof vest, and he shot each of them at vulnerable areas. The lady, Sarah, is no longer with us. the man, if I'm understanding correctly at this time, it's been maybe 24 hours since I've gotten a medical report, is still in a critical condition, and hopefully he will survive, but we don't know. But I'm not trying to say at all that we are trained therapists and so forth and so on. But if we hear something that just seems like could be taken to an extreme of retribution, I would hope we would do whatever we can personally to engage in the conversation or take whatever measures we need to try to avoid the situation that occurred. And so I clearly understand not everybody's going to feel comfortable confronting people, and I certainly don't mean that in an argumentative or combative way. But Ed, that's where I am right now, that I want to do what I can to inspire people to engage with others, that if something was said that we might just interpret as untoward, just engage that person in further conversation. And I am not suggesting we be accusatory, but just engage them in conversation so that we can get a sense of what their feelings are at the time. Ed, I don't want to be too much of a dialogue right here. I mean, a monologue, but that's a lot of where my feelings are.
Well, Ron, it's very okay, and I think it's I'm very happy to dedicate this global meeting room, that's what I affectionately call this studio, for a conversation on topical matters, not just theory. Dr. Ken Lloyd, you have deep experience with a number of people with, I would guess, within a corporate business environment. So this shooter is not a business situation. Who knows what actually went on there? But what do you think of this?
It's a horrible tragedy with two young people serving their country to be murdered, or one to be murdered and another in critical condition. It is so sad. And to think of that underlying hostility and hatred and violence and mental disorder that would cause someone to do this. I totally agree with what Ron is saying. If you come into contact with or hear about an individual who may need some real help, guidance, counseling, and prevention from taking horrible actions, you should say something to somebody, even if it's not to that person, if there's a significant other in that individual's life. But we all have to be more observant of what's going on around us. And these days, that's more difficult with so many people hooked on their devices, and looking at social media and their phones, and hours and hours a day, missing what's really going on. And these are the toughest acts to stop, because it's not a person who's in a group that can be infiltrated and say, all right, look, these people pose a particular danger. This is one of these isolated individuals, but apparently there were some things going on within the family that may have been at least an indicator that this person is about to step off and do something horrible. It's so sad. And how many times a week do we have to read these tragic stories of this going on in this country? It's not like there can be some massive law or program that'll stop it. We do need to have more focus on mental health. We do need to have more accessibility for those who are in need of counseling and guidance. But for all of us as citizens, just as Ron is saying, to do our part as well. And if we see something, to try to take steps to prevent it without getting into a confrontation or a battle, but to try to make the whole situation safer for those around us and for our fellow citizens.
Ken, I'll advance what you're saying, and I'm very much in alignment with you. I have used the expression before, and I don't want to overuse it. I would rather have to apologize than eulogize. And I'm not trying to make a play on words, but I would I would rather be the person who would say, well, I may have misinterpreted what you said and so forth, but at least I had the courage to bring it up. And Ken, I'm the kind of person that I don't believe a person needs to be very specifically certified, trained, and so forth. But if we can just help people be aware of things that might be just a little bit untoward, I use that term. What you said just kind of triggered a thought. And I just wanted to pursue that a little bit further. What did you mean by that, or something of that nature? And if we can engage a person in a meaningful conversation, we might be able to discern something from that. It is my understanding that this person, an Afghan, worked with the CIA and he was vetted before that ever occurred, and then later was granted asylum. And that's my understanding so far. Was everything done properly? Were the people who were involved in the process adequately trained? And I would hope that no one made a conscious attempt to subvert the process. But we are where we are, and I'm very interested in following through with the investigation to see what needs to be improved. And here we are in the United States celebrating Thanksgiving one day before, and the parents of these two are in total dismay. Sarah, particularly, because their daughter's no longer with them. The other one, Andrew, we hope is going to survive, but still is in very critical condition. And oh my golly, can we just maybe purpose to with each other to make the phone calls? Ken, as you were saying, just can we just not dismiss things? That's a lot of where I am.
And I welcome your further feedback.
Well, it's just such a sad era that we're living in now, and it's very easy for people who should not have access to weapons to obtain them in all sorts of untoward ways, and that really complicates it. This is not just a person walking down the street and yelling that he's angry at the world. Uh, the accessibility of weapons, and I'm not advocating one way or another on that, but we do need some additional control so they do not fall into the hands of people who are potentially so unstable. And certainly, if you're seeing what Ron is talking about, someone who's struggling and perhaps saying things that trigger for you a red flag, and that person has weapons or easy access to same, maybe it's time to do more and to talk to the significant others around that person, and maybe even beyond that. And again, got to apologize, so be it. I totally agree with that, Ron.
And Ken, we have a situation in a neighbor here who is getting older. Now, this is two totally different situations from my understanding. The neighbor that I'm thinking of is in the upper 70s, maybe 80s or so, and he has weapons, and he has a disposition that many of his family members have given up on him. It is my personal opinion that he is mentally unstable. I'm not sure that he is cognitively capable of making rational decisions. I go through that background to say that as a neighbor, I would like to go into his house and not confiscate, but to remove the weapons. And now, and I'm going to use a similar analogy. If this Afghan became radicalized in Washington over some maybe recent period of time, who knows, 12, 24 months or something, golly, can we take the action? Can we get engaged to where we too can think and say, this person is making statements that I feel very uncertain. But Ken, I'm at a point where, legally, I don't know what we can do, but I'm at a point of saying, I'm going to call somebody. If the hair on the back of my neck is standing up, that I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel easy. I want to call someone and just ask them, what can we do? Maybe legally nothing we can do until the action occurs that calls legal enforcement into place. But I'm just, and I'm at a loss for words. I don't know exactly how to pursue this beyond. I just want to talk with somebody to see what we can do.
So, Ron, your concern about your neighbor is personal.
Yes.
You're a neighbor, and I'm not insinuating that you're a control freak, but I think it's okay in this regard to protect yourself.
Yeah, but Ed, I would say in this case, and there are two or three other neighbors who are being watchful. We live in the country that we're a quarter mile from our nearest neighbor. We may only see each other as we pass each other on the road, but we are neighborly enough that we will call each other periodically. And I just happened to learn about this neighbor who I knew of him several years ago, his personality and so forth. But he has deteriorated since then in basic health and appears to be in mental health and so forth. And he can become extremely angry at what you and I, the three of us, might think is just the smallest thing. And what might he do? Now, I'll just give you one example. The neighbor was found maybe 3 weeks ago in the yard after spending the night out there because he tripped and fell. And but this is the kind of thing that can happen. And he's virtually estranged from his daughter and two sons who haven't spoken with him in maybe decades. But that is personal, and I'm not trying to project that I am fearful of him bringing a gun to my house. That's not my point at all. But I just don't know what may trigger a thought with him to do something with somebody, and he may not even do it outside of his yard. But if he hears or gets concerned about someone coming up to his house, something may happen. But I'm describing that just to use an example that can we at least check into this? And I am working with the neighbors and local law enforcement to determine legally what can we do to try to ensure the safety of everyone concerned.
Well said, Ron. And
Yeah. And that's a terrific step to talk not only with neighbors, but with law enforcement. Say, look, we're trying to prevent a serious problem from developing here. And we feel this individual is possibly on the brink with a short fuse, and it could get dangerous to the entire community and those around the area. So to at least alert them to it and put them on a little extra step to vigilance, I believe would help as well. You mentioned, kind of the hair went up on the back of your neck. That's something to really think about. The way we've evolved as humans, there's something to be said for getting a feeling, a cue that something isn't right. You don't have to even be able to spell it out. This isn't sitting right. And that's how we've survived, frankly, to this point of having that sense of danger. And if you're picking up that cue with another individual, whether it's subtle or pretty overt, if you let it go, you're denying what really could be a very dangerous situation. I mean, our systems have evolved to the point that we can pick up that kind of information around us. And to do nothing about it could be putting others and ourselves at grave risk.
No, I think you're right on, Ken. And the term mental health, golly, at least I'm the kind of person, I don't want to accuse anyone of having poor mental health. I know where I was as in a much younger age, but I had very negative thoughts. But is a person approaching dementia? Are they literally are they so negative about what the other people with whom they associate, the news they watch, any number of things could radicalize a person, if that's an appropriate term here, but it seems that maybe it is an appropriate term. And whereas a person was okay up until, who knows, starting 24 months ago, just pick a time frame, and the negative things around them have just stirred them internally, emotionally, to where it just builds on itself to where and I have developed a program on the three R's that, and those being, excuse me, those being that I heard something that just causes me to want to resist you. And I'm offended by that. And so I may resent you for some reason, but then I may take that further and seek retribution. And so I'm not trying to play with words, but I am trying to say that as we can see potentially the progression of people's emotions to where, yep, I'm right now I'm resentful, but it could result if it escalates into some form of retribution. And again, I don't want to cause anyone to be paranoid, but if we can help people be aware that things can happen, and I call it being appropriately aware, not accusatorially, a word I'll invent, but it's just yes, I just again I want to be appropriately aware. And
let me ask you to define the third R. One was resent, the other one retribution.
yeah,
What's the
it's
third?
okay. I'm going to resist you.
Resist.
That's the first. Then I may resent you, which then could escalate to I will seek retribution, and the retribution could take any form. It seems this Afghan it was seeking retribution in the form of the retribution at a gunpoint.
So you mentioned that he is from Washington State? Did he fly or drive? Did he buy the gun
It is
in
my
Washington?
it is my understanding, Ed. He didn't live, not Bremerton, but it's close to it. But he drove from. He is a resident of, and I saw a news broadcast of neighbors who said that he drove. Who knows, a 3-day drive from Washington State to Washington D.C.
That's a long trip. That's a lot of
Well,
time to be in your head.
it is, Ed. And you think that, wow, you're willing to drive literally across country, probably a 3-day drive, and you had a very specific purpose in mind. It would seem. Now, I'm not trying to be the judge in a court of public opinion, but it just seems based on what I have read, and I'm not a single source kind of person. I have read different sources and corroborated that it would certainly seem he left Washington, D.C. with a very specific purpose of doing what he did. So then the thought is, and I don't think anything has been determined, what is it that could radicalize a person to that point that they're willing to drive all the way across the country to do what they did? And so, how much immigration and the current immigration laws and so forth had an adverse impact on this person? Now I'm presupposing, and I don't want to, again, to be in the court of public opinion, but I'm just trying to process all this.
The other message that can go out, in addition to all of us being observant and doing more than just observing, but actually taking action, anyone can observe, is also to put out the word to everyone. Are you feeling upset, depressed, angry? Are you less engaged with the people around you, with family and friends? Are you spending more and more time alone? Are you feeling deep hostility? There is help for you. You can be saved. And again, whether it's through counseling, whether it's through religion, and whether it's through reaching out to friends, but addressing it to those who may engage in these actions as well. Say, if this is how you are feeling, help is available. You don't have to live like this. So here's this young man. It sounds like he was having family problems as well, with several young children, and all of that's going on. Help's available. You can do something here. You don't have to go out and engage in horrible acts of violence and vengeance, at least perceived vengeance, because a lot of them think something has happened to them that needs to have retribution, but hasn't happened. They're so mixed up and so removed from reality that they then go out and take these insane actions. They need to know help is here. And you know what? It's not a failure to get help. It's actually an act of confidence. You're showing your strength and who you really are as a person. It's okay to go and do this. I think just, again, adding on to us trying to help as citizens, those around us, for the action to also be pointed at those who may be thinking about this, to be thinking about, good God, to drive across America to go and kill strangers who are, it's crazy. But you can get help. They can get help. And just reaching out actively for these helplines and for the professional services that are available for free. They can do this.
And Ken, I would just have to think that this Afghan, and I think it's been reported he's about 29 years old, he had 5 children. And so he had to have thought something to the effect that, well, if doing what I want to do is more important than fathering 5 children. It would seem to me, anyone thinking rationally about this would have to know that, well, there's a possibility I won't be able to return to father my 4 children, my 5 children. But yet doing what I intend to do is greater satisfaction, is more important than raising my family. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. Now, it is my life experience, and I am not certified in this, but it seems that nobody does anything like this in literal, total isolation. They almost certainly cooperate with some number of friends who make it known, and whether through social media, the investigation will turn out, I believe, whether he was maybe communicating with some other people that maybe could have known. But again, if let's just assume that he was communicating with others through some means, that he wasn't the only person who could have known that this was at least a possibility. So what I'm trying to say is, it's very unlikely he did what he did in total isolation, that nobody else on this universe knew anything about it. It's my experience that's unusual that that would have happened. But I think my hope is the investigation is going to turn out that no, he communicated with and collaborated with other people. So I don't know.
Oh, did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Well,
Sorry?
it was a good Thanksgiving, but but I think about the parents, the family members of the 2 guardsmen, and while all the rest of us were, celebrating Thanksgiving and everything that represents in the United States, here are 2 families who are mourning what is now the loss of Sarah, in the hope that Andrew, the other guardsman, is going to make it through this. And while they had reason to believe, the family members had reason to believe that, well, yeah, we're looking forward to Thanksgiving and everything this represents. And yes, my son, daughter are on duty in Washington, D.C., but at least I'm going to be able to somehow communicate with them. And their Thanksgiving turned out to be something totally unexpected, totally different.
And these 2 young people were just randomly picked, probably.
It is my understanding, Ed, yes, they just happened to be. And now what I'm about to say, I totally guess. He arrived in Washington, D.C., parked the car wherever he did. He carried, if the reporting I read is accurate, he brought with him a 357 Magnum pistol. And with the intent of maybe, hey, whomever I see first in guardsmen, I'm going to fire on them. And it seemed to be random. At this point of what I have read, I do not have any reason to believe these two were by name targeted. They were just line of sight.
And this shooter was taken down?
The shooter was taken down, but now he's still living. But yes, he's in custody right now and living, and he has pleaded not guilty. Now, I'm curious: is he pleading not guilty by reason of insanity? I don't know what it would be. So now I'm speculating just based on some things I've read.
So I'd like to change or enlarge this topic a little bit here, and this is not political, but it's omnipresent. So Putin, Russian, appears to have torpedoed whatever peace talks were just held and made he was targeting President Trump, I believe, by torpedoing that effort. And meanwhile, the missiles and the damage, destruction, fear mongering, not just in Ukraine, but definitely across Europe. Anybody with a brain is noticing that. What do you think is going to happen here? I mean, this is going to be a one-on-one, Putin and Trump, right?
I think it will be, and
a showdown like at high noon.
Well, I think it will be a showdown of sorts. Now, I do believe that Donald Trump is a master negotiator, and economically, he might be able to make things happen. And I don't like prolonged war. I don't want to get engaged in those kind of things. But how do we stop this? I just ask that rhetorically. I do believe that Donald Trump is the kind of person that he will look at ways to economically negotiate something that's going to be satisfactory. Now, this may have to be a literal two-country negotiation. Ukraine, you may have to give up something to stop the war. But I do believe that there will be something that will be useful to come from this, and I just believe in Donald Trump's power of negotiation.
Ken, do you want to add on this? Do you want to bring up another topic?
Yeah, this one is just to me a giant, horrible conundrum, and yeah, maybe through the economic focus on how to bring this to an end, it will help. But I do believe, just as a total observer, that Ukraine needs a role in these discussions, a real role, and not to have anything imposed on them. They were invaded. Their country is their country. But my God, this is such a complex issue and so many aspects to it. Just hope every day that somehow that we can get at least a ceasefire, stop this horrid bombing and attacking all these families that have lost so many members. It's absolutely awful. But to me, no easy answer on this one, as we've seen. No quick solution, and maybe it'll come down to these two leaders. I don't know. I'm not optimistic about what's going on over there in any way. It's not like, oh, here's a hope this action is going on or that. It's just, it's so prolonged and so horrible for the Russians as well as for the Ukrainians. It's just horrible on both sides.
Well, you got to do something happier here. But let's talk about something else. So what are you going to do the upcoming holidays, Ken? You gonna go to Palm Springs area or what?
You're going out to Palm Desert, I'm sure.
Next week, yeah.
It's funny you brought up Thanksgiving as there's a question that we like to ask. What are you thankful for? That's okay, and that's a wonderful question to ask. We do have so much to be thankful for. At the same time, we also, particularly to the young ones, say, "What did you do that made someone else thankful?" Oh, what did I do? And it's a different way for them to look at the holiday. What did you do maybe for a friend or for a stranger? Did you do something that was unexpected that made someone else thankful? And it's just, kind of a nice part of the discussion. This happens to be my favorite holiday of all because it's focused on family and goodness and love and not on presents and all this other tangible stuff, but rather getting deeper than that. So we enjoy it as many family members as we can get to this particular event is what we do. Going forward for the holidays, not going anywhere particularly exciting. Go to the supermarket, but we're going to be in town, and I guess the classical term is that's kind of a staycation. Hang out here, be with family and friends.
So once again, that question, I'm going to paraphrase you, so please correct me if I'm wrong. What did you do to help or make someone else thankful and happy?
Yeah, what did you do that made someone else thankful? So when they're at their Thanksgiving, gee, I'm really thankful for what this family member did. And it might be helping, it might be sharing, it might be doing something that someone didn't expect in a positive way. For someone to say, gosh, that was really nice of you. And thank you. And what did I do that would generate a real thanks from someone else? And it's interesting to see what they all say, particularly the young ones.
Well, Ken, Ed and I addressed this in just slightly different terms 2 weeks ago, and I spoke of gratitude. And so I think what you're saying is, what did you do overtly to display gratitude to someone else? And if we can be a catalyst, I frequently use that term, but if we can be a catalyst to inspire people to do just that, I think we can help avert some of the aggressive tendencies some people have. That if we have an attitude of gratitude, again, I'm not trying to play on words, but if we can, as a basic disposition, have that attitude of gratitude that, yep, just happened to hear a data point, use that term maybe too often, that, well, let me engage in conversation just to see what can come from this. But again, it's what can we do to positively pass on something to someone else? That's really a lot of what I'm discussing.
Well, it's interesting because it actually ties into both of the topics today. Because if people will take the time to step back, get into a state of mindfulness, and what are you grateful for? What do you have gratitude in life? What are the elements of your life you're grateful for? So to stop, okay, hold on. As angry and upset and distressed as someone might be, what are you grateful for? To open that part of thinking can be calming, can help them step back. And maybe instead of being so angry at the world and mad about this, wait a minute though, what you have nothing? You've got 5 children. You've got this loving spouse. You're living in a free country. What are you grateful for? Stop, turn off all of it and just focus on what do you have gratitude? I think it's very important. It's also very therapeutic. And I think it would help those who are struggling and even thinking about horrible things that they could do to themselves or to others, say, wait a minute, step back. What are you grateful? And we all have so much to be grateful for. Some more than others, obviously, but it's individual, it's personalized, and it's calming, as well as generating some insights.
And I think you're right on, Ken. That and I frequently tell people that as we will find whatever we're looking for. If we're negative thinkers, negative in everything we do, we'll find negative. But if we purpose to look for the positive, and I'm not trying to gloss over those things that are wrong, but if we can be somewhat of a resolution provider kind of person, that we can help a lot of people overcome whatever challenges they're working with. And some people I do know feel overwhelmed that, well, it's just that time of year and so forth. And but again, if we look for the positive, I know we can find it.
That ties in with expectations as well. If we expect a negative outcome, we're more likely to engage in behaviors that generate exactly what we are trying to avoid, whether it's dealing with people or situations. On the other hand, if we're more positive about it, we actually can influence the situation to the point that it will be more positive. So take a look at what do we really expect going into this? Because if you expect to have difficulty with a friend, with an associate, with a manager, with a person who reports to you, you're going to greatly increase the likelihood of having a difficult situation as opposed to going in positively. So that's part of it as well. So tying in gratitude, positive expectations, and building from there.
Yep, you're right on. And as we, the three of us, can purpose together that we will reach out to others and try to project that positive attitude, some number of people will choose to join us. And that's a lot of what I'm about.
So as we come to a close here in the next few minutes, I'd like to make a couple of announcements, sort of program notes of what I'm going to be doing, and you're both invited to join. Without naming exact dates right now, because it's not my purpose, it's the topics that I want to get across and how it ties into exactly what was just said in the last few minutes. There's a guy by the name of Jay Sternberg who lives in Texas, in Houston, just retired from a long career at Ernst & Young, ending with an 11-year top partnership level. And EY has this rule that says that when you hit 60, you have to retire. We'll take care of you, but you have to make room for someone younger to come in. And so he wrote a book, and now he's become an executive coach. There seems to be tons of executive coaches out there these days. So he and I are talking about doing a series of broadcasts. We haven't reached agreement yet. So he's thinking about it, and I've been inviting him to attend one or two things here and there. And he will be coming up in a couple of events. One of them is about somebody else's gig, and that is a series that I call Hello. And it's Hello APAC, which means Asia Pacific region. And we've had 6 or 7 of these broadcasts across the past couple of years. And the next one is being set up for early January. And we have already people from Hong Kong, excuse me, and Japan, and working on others from across the region, in addition to people from US. The other one is coming up really quick, and it's about Latin America and the Caribbean, and how that region's economy is very diverse, is evolving and become very global because of foreign direct investment by the Chinese in particular, but also Europe, in particular Spain into Mexico. And there's charts and graphs that others, not me, have put together, which I'm going to display and circulate, showing specifics about product development, labor force development, economic growth and development compared to just a few years ago. Case in point, Mexico, but also Argentina, which is in the middle of an economic boom, and also Colombia, not Colombia, but Colombia, taking in thousands of refugees from Venezuela. And that's going on. And you'll probably be hearing about that, not from me, but from national news sources pretty quick. Okay, and then on December 17th, I'm hosting a talk with Heather, the business psychology, the cafe coach, as she's called. But it's not about her business, really. Well, maybe it is. But it's about her recent excursion, her trip to Antarctica, her second time there. But this time, she was faced with extraordinary, in her view, extraordinary challenges, mental and physical. And she went through a transformative process in her own words, and she's going to share that information. And Ken, I already sent you an invitation, Ron. I think if it hasn't gone out yet, it will. That's going to be a fascinating tour de force, I think. And so it's December 17, starting at 8 a.m. California, which is 4 p.m. London. It'll be live and, of course, broadcast later. There's other programs coming up. There's a whole series that I'm beginning called C-Suite, which, of course, refers to CEOs, chief executive officers, and anybody at that level talking. And this gentleman, Jay Sternberg, and I are talking about him doing a couple of those. And then others. What's the view? Leadership, corporate leadership. Not just talking about people who are making billions of dollars because of AI or data and all that stuff, but how, just like what you were doing, Ron, being a strong voice. People don't want to be bossed around and dictated to, but what you're talking about, you embody strength and display it. And there's nothing wrong with that because of your psychologically safe environment that you strive to not only create but maintain within your world. I've experienced in these several meetings we've had the past few months. Ken, psychologically safe work environments, that's the gold, platinum, nirvana.
Yeah, the more people understand this whole concept of psychological safety, the more effective their organization will be, because it says so much in terms of what you're going to draw out of your team and how you're going to help them learn and grow and develop and listen to them, respond to them, make them feel literally safe psychologically, that they can voice a criticism, a concern, a new idea. You're generating creativity this way, you're generating commitment, engagement. It's just a terrific concept, and it's not just words. It's not just, oh yeah, we want to be psychologically safe. To really engage in actions and bring that into an organization will help at every level and will absolutely help the organization as a whole.
Ken? I'm sorry, Ron.
No, I'm right there. As we go farthest as a team, and as we are integrated together, and we have a cohesive team, and as the three of us exemplify right here, we're all different, but we complement each other. And as you form your teams that way, together we go farther, much farther. But it's a matter of choosing the right people and the right culture, and we grow together.
Thank you for being on the TV talk show. This has really been fascinating. Hopefully Zoom will have recorded it terrific. And the meeting notes, I'm sure you've seen all these meeting notes here. What I've done is jumped in with 2 feet using AI And what they're doing is recording word for word, as well as just providing a summary. And word for word is a transcript. And so I'm getting more into publishing again rather than just broadcasting. So we offer a video link, an audio link, and text. I don't know what else to call it right now. People want to read things rather than just watch or listen because they do it on earbuds rather, and they can do something else, drive in a car or not be glued to watching something. Innovation, right? Thanks. Take care.
Thank you, Ken and Ed.
Thanks right back to both of you, and have an excellent day.
You
You all,
too.
guys.